Yeah, he's sent me a text. But I was
All right, we have 6:30. We'll begin the work study session meeting, starting with officials' reports. Mr. Mayor, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Start off with regards to our train rides. Despite the chilly weather, our Santa Express train rides were a wonderful success again this year. The kickoff event was our annual tree lighting ceremony and caroling on Friday, December 6th. I'd like to thank all of our residents and elected officials who braved the cold weather and once again took part in this very special Southgate Christmas tradition. Adding to the ceremony were the angelic voices of the Grateful Praise a cappella group from the Gateway Church on North Line in Southgate. Pastor Billy Walker of the Calvary Baptist Church also added an appropriate blessing and reminded everyone of the true reason for this season. And we were also joined we all joined in to welcome Santa Claus so that he was able to visit all the good boys and girls this Christmas Eve. Special thanks to 8-year-old Wyatt Cheney, who assisted with the tree lighting and welcoming of Santa. During the festive weekend, over 1,500 riders, residents and visitors, boarded the Santa Christmas Express train ride to take a ride to Southgate's North Pole and visit with Santa. Special thanks to the Great Lake Live Steamers Club for providing the trains and helping to assemble the wide array of Christmas lights and displays that filled Kiwanis Park with joyful colors and Christmas images. Also, 3 very special Christmas elves also need to be acknowledged: Bob Hines, Jim Austin, and Dan Elson. These 3 gentlemen truly added to the children's joy and family memories. Special thanks also to our volunteers, including the Davidson Honor Society and Mr. Pat Poirier. I thought he was in the audience here somewhere, but he stayed both days and was very, very helpful. I'd also like to thank our Southgate Parks and Recreation Department and our DPS crew who assisted greatly in preparing the park for this event. Lastly, we could not put this wonderful event on without our generous contributors. This year's sponsors were the Southgate DDA, J-Bro Carpet, MJR Theater, Southgate Ford and Southgate Lincoln, and the Embers Coffee Shop. Thanks to everyone who helped create great memories and for all the children in the Downriver families that attended. The Christmas light displays continue at Market Center Park from now until January 3rd. This year's Light Up the Park event is bigger and more colorful than ever. Each night, weather permitting, the park will be open from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Visitors are encouraged to stroll through the park, enjoy the festive displays, take photos, and drop off a letter to Santa at the special North Pole mailbox. And lastly, and perhaps the most significant officials report, during tonight's meeting, we will have our annual audit report from our independent auditors, Plant Moran. I'm looking forward to their presentation and informing our residents on the results of our most recent fiscal year, which ended this past June 30th. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, any report?
No report, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Treasurer, any report?
No report, thank you.
All right. Councilman Erich.
No report.
Councilman Roush.
No report.
Councilman George.
Oh, thank you. First of all, I would like to extend condolences to Mayor Cuspa and his family on the loss of his brother John. He was a distinguished veteran and will be buried this summer at Arlington National Cemetery. Concerning the seniors, they will be having their sold-out Christmas party tomorrow, and then the senior center will be closed from December 20th until January 5th. It will reopen on Monday, January 6th. However, grocery runs will be on Monday, December 23rd and Monday, December 30th, and that's for the Deaconess, the American House in Mary Haven. And the Case Commission is accepting photos for the home decorating contest. You can send or email pictures to Case, and that's all capital letters, at southgatemi.gov. Be sure to include your name and address and the phone number. If you have any questions, you can contact Chairperson Robin Craig at 734-258-3013. Also, Councilman Ed Golick, Dan Marsh, and I attended a celebration for our reserve police officers Monday night to thank them for their many years of selfless service. Lastly, I would like to wish everybody a happy holiday, and again to thank everyone for the honors that have been bestowed upon me. Finally, don't forget to show your kindness to a neighbor, senior citizen, relative, or friend who may need help during this cold winter season. In the words of the famous Lester Holt, the anchorman on TV, he says, show kindness to yourself and to each other. And I think that's all I have. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Aris-Rees.
No report.
Councilman Golick.
No report this evening.
All right, Mr. Marsh for the discussion of the agenda items.
Thank you, Chairman. We have with us today Plant Moran to go through the audit presentation. So they're prepared to do that now. If we'd like, we can have the council members actually take a seat in the audience, and then they can go ahead and go through that presentation.
Is the presentation what's in here? I'm sorry, through the chair.
Yes.
So I can stay here and just flip through?
If you want to. sure.
Okay.
You need some help, Doug?
You take Melanie in. Plus everything's going on.
Okay, great. Looks like we're ready to go. So good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Brickey with Plant Moran. I'm the audit partner on your account, and with me today is my associate, Rumzi Abdallah, and we're here to talk about the audit for the year ended June 30, 2024. So really, there's 4 separate deliverables that we'll be mentioning tonight. Oh, it's okay. Oh, there we go. There's 4 separate deliverables that we deliver as part of the audit. There's the financial statements, which is the obviously the large financial records for the city. We have our report to mayor and council on the audit process. We have a compliance exam this year on your compliance with federal grants, and then finally we have the graph presentation, which is a summary of some of the financial information we'll go through in just a moment. So we have covered all of these documents in detail with management, and our goal tonight is to provide you a high-level summary and answer any questions that you may have. So before I get started, really just want to take a moment and thank Darcy, Doug, Dan, your entire finance team for all their assistance throughout the audit. They just do a great job kind of helping us complete everything in an efficient manner. So for the presentation tonight, I want to start with covering a few audit-related items, then we'll go through the graphs shortly after that. The first thing I want to talk about is our main deliverable to you as your auditor is our opinion on your financial statements. So included in the financial statement document on page 1 and 2 is our opinion on those statements. The city did receive an unmodified audit opinion, again in the current year, which essentially means the financial statements are in compliance with all the rules and regulations and can be relied upon. We often refer to that as a clean audit report. So happy to provide that information. In addition to that, we also issued another opinion this year on your compliance with federal grants. So because the city received around $1 million of federal grants in the current year, we had to do an additional audit. So whenever you have more than $750,000 of grants, we have to do a compliance audit. And so we actually tested your compliance with the $706,000 of ARPA funds that were spent in the current year, and happy to report that we did not have any issues with that. The city was in compliance with the federal requirements for spending those funds. So again, another clean audit opinion on your federal grant awards there. In addition to the audit opinions, we also issue our report on the audit process itself. And if we identify any internal control related matters, we report those in that letter. So included in that eight-page letter on page 2, we have 2 audit matters that we wanted to bring to your attention tonight. The first item is really a recurring item, and it really relates to our assistance with helping the city close the books to prepare the financial statements. So we are allowed to do that. It is allowed under the auditing standards, but we have to report to you that we indeed help the city close the books to prepare the financial statements. A lot of the journal entries that we suggest and are posted by management are year-end closing type entries, accrual type entries, so nothing to do with cash receipts or cash disbursements or anything like that. They're really just year-end closing entries. So that's the first finding. Pretty common for us to have that, a lot of the communities we work with. The second item really relates to bank reconciliations. So the bank reconciliations for the city were completed during the current year, but they weren't necessarily done timely. Oftentimes it took several months for a lot of the reconciling items to be figured out and posted. So we'd really recommend that the city take a look at the current process that's being performed and make sure that, segregation of duties are proper there and that things are being done efficiently. The last thing you want to have is outstanding issues with the bank going on for months and months and months. So again, that's just something that we recommend that you take a look at and rectify going forward. So with that, we're going to switch over and look at some numbers now. So I'm going to turn it over to Rumsey, and we'll go through the presentation that we have prepared.
Thank you, Bill. Good evening, everybody, and figured out the clicker situation here. So we have prepared some financial statement highlights. We're going to focus on the general fund on a budgetary basis. And in this first slide, we take a look at general fund revenues over a 3-year trend. You can see that the different components of revenue are represented by different colors. And in the far right column in 2024, you'll see that revenue increased by $3.7 million over 2023. And that's around 13%. Now, there is a bit of, obviously that's good news, but there is a little bit of caution with that. So we'll kind of dissect the categories that increased. Licenses and permits increased by approximately $1 million. However, included in that is a significant increase in your building permit fees. And those are, any increase in fund balance is restricted for construction code activities. So that's not necessarily an increase in total dollars that you have for spending. Also included in that increase is the city's apartment inspection revenue, which was included for the first time this year. In the next category, interest, you see that interest revenue increased by approximately $500,000. Very good to see that increase and see that the city taking advantage of higher interest rates. However, who knows what's going to happen with interest rates going forward. So again, great increase, but it's not something you can rely on every year. In the intergovernmental revenue category, the city recognized $706,000 in ARPA revenue. As Bill mentioned, that was again $706,000, and that was from the city's ARPA allocation that the city received. And the city still does have a remaining $823,000 in ARPA funding as of June 30th that was reported as unearned revenue and is going to be recognized subsequent to June 30 as it's incurred. Also included in the grant revenue was $139,000 of ARPA revenue from Wayne County. So that went towards the Southgate Tower project. So there's another $139,000 in there in addition to some other grants. So it's good to see the increase in grant revenue, but then again, that's not something that you would really expect to recur every year. And then lastly, property taxes and the Act 345 levy saw a $1.3 million increase. And that's a good segue into the next slide, as really that was a result of taxable value. So on this slide, we take a look at the taxable value, which is represented in blue, and the orange bar, which is the state equalized value. And really the purpose of this slide is to see that you can see the state equalized value, the orange bar, increases at a much higher rate than the taxable value. The state equalized value is increasing at a rate that's more closely aligned to market conditions. However, the city, because of Headley and Proposal A, you don't necessarily have the ability to increase revenue by that, or increase your taxable value by that percent. So really the main takeaway here is, we saw on the previous slide what a big component of the general fund revenue is contingent upon property taxes, and that's really something that is essentially out of your control. Another significant source of revenue for the general fund is state shared revenue, which comes or has come over 3 forms over the years: constitutional, statutory, and what we call EVIP CVT dollars. This graph takes a look at a 10-year trend of state shared revenue broken up into those 3 categories. And really the only portion that is guaranteed is the constitutional piece. And for context, we've added figures from 2003, so nearly a little over 20 years ago. And you can see that statutory state shared revenue has been eliminated over that time. The constitutional portion did increase to 3.2. It actually dipped a little bit from last year, but it's at $3.2 million right now. compared to the 3.6 million that total state shared revenue was at in 2003. So if you really just look at the history of state shared revenue over the last 21 years, you are barely over what you were in 2003 on the revenue side. So this doesn't factor in inflation. It doesn't factor in all the lost revenue for the years in between. And if you think about your expenses in 2003, those are not the same dollars that you're spending in 2024. So again, a focus on state shared revenue because that's a significant component of revenue for the general fund, and it's, again, out of your control. Flipping over to the expenses side, this graph represents a 3-year trend of general fund expenditures by function on a budgetary basis. So total expenses were 28.7 million, an increase of 6.3% over the prior year. You'll notice that public safety expenditures continue to be the largest piece of the expenditures at 15.8 million, or 55% of the total, and that includes police and fire related expenses. So this slide takes those same expenses that we just saw on the previous slide for 2024 and divides it up by the type of expenditure. So rather than by function, but really what type of expenditure that it's actually going towards. And you'll see that 75% of the total general fund expenditures, so that's the big orange piece, that went towards payroll, fringe benefits, and retirement contributions. That's what we call the people cost. So 75% of every dollar spent in the general fund is going towards that. And then out of that, 35% or 10 million is going towards the retiree portion of that. And then 11.6 million is the active employee cost. The next biggest, or the blue slice that you see there, that's 6%, that's sanitation expenses. And then there's a small green slice for transfer to other funds. And then all other expenses are represented in the gray piece, which is the 17%. So we've looked at revenues, we've looked at expenses, and now we put them all together here. On this slide, we present a trend over the last 5 years, and normally you see that these two will often mirror each other, and that's an indication that the general fund is living within its means. So we talk about how it's hard to control your revenue amounts. You have a little bit more control over your expenses, and you want to keep it as you have here and ensure that the expenditures are planned strategically and not going over the revenue line. Lastly, on this slide, we take a look at the general obligations of the city. The city has not issued any new governmental activities debt in nearly 15 years. This doesn't include anything specific to water and sewer fund, so this is really just general obligations and governmental activities. So the city does continue to fund governmental capital improvements with cash and is not taking on any new debt to finance these. So the debt as of June 30, 2024 was down to 1.3 million. Which is fairly insignificant for a city of your size. So that concludes the highlights and the financials that we wanted to cover. We'd be happy to address any questions on any of our audit deliverables or the audit process.
Mr. Chairman, I'd have the opportunity just to express the significance of that last slide because that's something this administration, in concert with the council, have worked on diligently. It looks nice now, but in 09, 010, we were at $13 million in debt. We're now at a little over, well, almost a little less than 1.3 million. So it's been a combined effort between the council and the administration, and of course, all of our employees, to be able to allow us to get to a point where we're almost have eliminated the general debt obligation for the city of Southgate over the past 15 years. So it's just there's a little more significance I wanted to add to that slide because it's nice now to say 1.3, but it was 13 million plus. So we're working to try and eliminate that debt, and hopefully in the next 18 to 24 months, that'll be accomplished.
Thank you. I think at this time we can go through the rest of the agenda, or if there's any other questions.
All right, thank you to Mr. Bricky and Mr. Bella from Plant Moran for the presentation. Now I'll move on to the agenda items. Mr. Marsh?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first item on the agenda is consideration of bids, and that is the bids for elevator maintenance and repair. The city received 3 qualified bids from vendors who visited the city hall and rec department elevators. The administration is recommending Kone be awarded a 5-year contract as they provided the lowest bid. Are there any questions from council? Okay, seeing none. The first item under Communications A is a resolution request approving the audit report and restating the fund balances. Are there any questions from council? Seeing none. Next is a request to establish a public hearing on January 15th to take public comment on the Recreation Master Plan. The plan is available and has been available at the Recreation Department and the clerk's office. It's also been available digitally on the city's webpage for review from the public. Are there any questions from council? Seeing none, the next item is a request to waive the bid and purchase a Hivac 2750 no-touch cleaning machine from Coleman Wolf of Roseville for use in the Parks and Recreations Department. This machine is portable, so it can be used to clean bleachers, bathrooms, playground equipment. It can be taken all around. And while the administration is requesting that the bid be waived, the Recreation Director did provide price comparisons of a similar product. Are there any questions from council?
Mr.
Through the
Chairman,
chair.
Councilwoman George?
I was not aware that they had such equipment as this. And at first it looks like, well, what in the heck is this and what is it going to do? But I can see it's a definite asset for the city. Especially, I know I've got the bathroom tiles and you get the dirt in between and all. And this machine is going to really make our bathrooms, if nothing else, look good. So good job, Julie.
Councilwoman Harris Reese?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are there any plans to cut the staff due to the efficiency of this equipment? I know it talked about how it can do the work of, so many people. I just want to make sure we weren't trying to.
Yeah, thank you. No, there's no plans at all to cut staff for this. This is going to be a tool that the staff that we have now can use, take it out to the parks, get it in the park bathrooms, get it in the bathrooms at the recreation department and the ice arena. So this is going to be incorporated with our current staff.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I just might want to add, just as a general sense, we are challenged as a city, as other cities are. We install a lot of new equipment on our parks and in our recreational facilities. And the real challenge then is once they're been installed is to maintain them. And it's been a challenge to do it manually, and this is a machine that will help staff do that in a more efficient manner and keep the new equipment looking over years to come.
Madam, or Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman George? go
It's
ahead.
also better for sanitation too.
For the
I mean,
workers,
for
yeah.
them to go in and have to wear gloves. This machine is going to do a lot of the dirty work.
Yeah,
We hope.
yeah, definitely more hygienic.
Pun intended.
Please continue.
Okay. Next is a request to approve the annual software license with Cellbrite. These licenses are required to use the Cellbrite forensic phone technology that's used by the police department. Just note that the term, the UFED Touched Ultimate Software License, that's the same as the physical extrication and physical analyzer subscription licenses that are noted on the quote there. It's that they're interchangeable terms. With that, are there any questions from council on this item? Okay, seeing none. Next is a request to approve the service agreement with DA Central for the court and police department the police department in-house video surveillance camera systems. This service agreement ensures that all the camera systems receive the proper maintenance and regular maintenance and replacement if needed. Are there any questions from council on that item? Great, seeing none. The remaining items under Communications A are the reappointments to various boards and commissions. We have Tom Coombs, Tim Foucher, and Jake Orman to the BZA for a term expiring December 2027. Brian Batko, Bruce Genthy, Wally Cleet, and Lauren Mosier to the DDA for a term expiring December 2028. Patrick Guntner and Patricia Anderson from the Planning Commission for the TIFA Board for a term expiring December 2028. Ray Howard to the Dangerous Buildings Board for a term expiring December 2027. And Eric Croft to the Compensation Commission for a term expiring 2028. Are there any questions on those reappointments? Okay, seeing none. Under Communications A, we just have one item, and that is the appointments of Marion Bolin, Cindy Burley, Nancy Gratz, Anna Mitchell, Robin Craig, and Vanessa Belcher to the Case Commission for a term expiring December 2026. If there's no questions, that is all. Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for the work study session. We'll be back here in a few minutes at 7 for the regular meeting. Pledge of allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cuspa is excused. Councilman Graziani,
Present.
Councilman George,
Here,
Councilman Roush,
Here.
Councilman Erridge,
Present.
Councilman Golick,
Here.
Councilman Ayers Reese.
Present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the work study meeting minutes?
Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, myself, but just so you know, Karen did it first.
I almost did it too, so that's
Right. I mean, hello, it's been 3 years. Motion to approve the work study meeting dated December 4th, 2024.
support.
Motion by Rouse, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes?
Madam Chair, or Mr. Chair,
Can happen all night, huh? Councilman George.
I move that we approve the regular city council meeting minutes dated December 4th, 2024.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Golick. Any discussion or objection? Carries. No scheduled persons in the audience. One item on consideration of bids, and it's a letter from the mayor regarding the bid for the elevator maintenance and repair. Madam Clerk.
It is recommended by the Assistant City Administrator, Finance Director, and I concur, to award the bid for elevator maintenance and repair to Cone Incorporated of Livonia for a 5-year agreement in the annual amount of $4,446. Additionally, it is recommended that the hourly billing rates for services be approved per the Omnia Partners pricing sheet, IUEC Detroit Local 36, as attached. Omnia Partners is a national purchasing cooperative that provides procurement options for the public sector industries. Sufficient funds are available in the general fund for this contract. Your favorable consideration of this matter is requested.
Is there a motion?
Through the chair.
Councilman Ayers Reese.
I make a motion that we award a 5-year agreement to Cone Incorporated for elevator maintenance and repair services in the discounted annual amount of $4,446 and approve the hourly billing rates for the services per the Omnia Partners pricing sheet, IUEC Detroit Local 36.
Support.
Motion by Ayers Reese, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, carries. Next up, memo from the administrator regarding the Parks and Recreation Master Plan 2025-2029 public hearing request. Madam Clerk.
Why don't we do
All right, skip
Under
the audit.
separate cover.
the audit?
All right, we'll go back to the audit report. It's a memo from the Assistant City Administrator regarding resolution fiscal year 2023-2024 audit report and restating fund balances. Madam Clerk.
Under separate cover, you have previously received the draft fiscal year 2023-24 audit report from Plant Moran. The matter will also have been reviewed during your work study session. As in previous years, the city has received an unmodified opinion from Plant Moran, which indicates that the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the city. Therefore, it is recommended that the city council adopt a resolution which accepts and approves the audit report for fiscal year 2023-24. Also, due to gas B54, the city council is requested to restate the fund balance as follows. So here goes. General fund non-spendable prepaids, $226,720. Restricted, unspent property tax rubbish, $820,949. Unspent property tax, police and fire pension, $284,206. Income housing, low income housing, $9,163. Building department, $715,616.
Is there a motion?
General,
Sorry.
general fund committed, county property tax chargebacks, $300,000. Computer software acquisition, $10,000. Fire rescue equipment, $1 million. SINC, $136,000. Assigned workers' compensation, $500,000. Severance reserve, $1,600,000. Future working capital, $300,000. Future OPEB, $500,000. Future budget shortfalls due to deficiencies in court revenue, $600,000. Capital projects funds committed, Police cars, $350,000. Property acquisition, $113,683. Fire rescue equipment, $250,000. Assigned capital projects, $79,402. Your favorable consideration of this matter is therefore requested.
Sorry for cutting you off, Madam Clerk. Is
that's
there a
okay.
motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
Got
Goller.
through it.
I'll make a motion that we adopt a resolution accepting and approving the audit report from Plant Moran for fiscal year 2023-24 and restating the fund balance as indicated above.
Support.
Motion by Gog, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? Carries. Next up, memo from the administrator regarding the Parks and Recreation Master Plan 2025-2029 public hearing request. Madam Clerk.
The administration requests a public hearing at the regularly scheduled January 15th, 2025 council meeting to take public comments related to the 2025-2029 Parks and Recreation Master Plan. The draft plan is available for viewing at the Parks and Recreation Department office, the clerk's office, and on the city's website. The Recreation Master Plan is currently in a 30-day public review period, and the city is taking comments. The city's consultant will present a summary of the Parks and Recreation 2025-29 Master Plan during the public hearing.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman George.
I move to set a public hearing regarding the City of Southgate's Parks and Recreation 2025 through 2029 master plan to take place during the regularly scheduled council meeting on January 15th, 2025 in the council chambers.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Erich. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, carries. Next up, we have a letter from the mayor regarding purchase of no-touch cleaning equipment. Madam Clerk.
I have reviewed the above with the Parks and Recreation Director, and I concur with her recommendation to waive the bid process and approve the purchase of a no-touch cleaning machine from Coleman Wolf of Roseville, Michigan, in the total amount of $8,057.52. This price includes the KVAC 2750 machine, extra accessories, and an extra battery pack. Funds are available in the appropriate Parks and Recreation Millage Fund for this purchase. Your favorable consideration of this matter is greatly appreciated.
It's the pleasure of the council.
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Erich.
I move that we waive the bidding process and approve the purchase of a CalVac 2750 no-touch cleaning machine, including accessories and battery pack from Coleman Wolf in the total amount of $8,057.52.
Support.
Motion by Erich, supported by George, or by Roush. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, it carries. Next up, letter from the mayor regarding UFED Touch Ultimate Software License. Madam Clerk.
I have reviewed the above with the Director of Public Safety, and I concur with his recommendation to renew the UFED Touch Ultimate Software License with Celebrite Inc. of Vienna, Virginia, in the annual amount of $6,450 for a one-year period ending December 8th, 2025. Funds are available in the Federal Forfeiture Fund. Your favorable consideration of this matter is greatly appreciated.
It's the pleasure of the council.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman George.
I'm sorry, Mr.
All right.
Chairman. I move to approve the UFED Touch Ultimate Software License renewal for one-year period expiring December 8, 2025 with Celebrate Inc. in the amount of $6,450.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Erich. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, it carried. Next up, letter from the mayor regarding in-house video surveillance camera system service agreement. Madam Clerk.
I have reviewed the above with the Director of Public Safety, and I concur with his recommendation to renew the service agreement for the in-house video surveillance camera system with DA Central of Oak Park for a term ending December 31st, 2025. Pricing for the agreement is as follows: $15,320 for the city Public Safety Division and $10,930 for the 28th District Court, for a total amount of $26,250. Funds are available in the appropriate general fund, department budgets. Your favorable consideration of this matter is greatly appreciated.
Their motion.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilwoman George.
I move to approve the renewal of the full Replacement Prime Shield Service Agreement with DA Central, Oak Park, Michigan, in the amount of $15,320 for the City/Public Safety Division and $10,930 for the 28th District Court, for a total amount of $26,250, with the renewal to run through December 31st, 2025.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Gallick. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, carried. Going on to appointments. First up, letter from the mayor regarding appointments to Board of Zoning Appeals. Madam Clerk.
Please be advised that I have made the following appointments to the Board of Zoning Appeals for terms expiring December 2027. Tom Coombs, Tim Focher, and Jake Orman. Your concurrence on these appointments is greatly appreciated.
Pleasure of the council.
Madam
Chairman.
Chair? Oh, go
One more
ahead.
time, George. That was
Give it to Mr. Ross.
Councilman Roush.
Make a motion, we concur with the administration in the appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals read by the clerk.
Support.
Motion by Roush, supported by Arich. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, carries. Next up, letter from the mayor regarding appointments to the Downtown Development Authority. Madam Clerk.
Please be advised that I have made the following appointments to the Downtown Development Authority for terms expiring December 2028. Brian Badco, Bruce Genthy, Wally Cleet, Lauren Mosier. Your concurrence on these appointments is greatly appreciated.
It's the pleasure of the council.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Gallick.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointments to the Downtown Development Authority as presented.
Support.
Motion by Gallick, supported by Councilman Aris Reese. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, it carries. Next up, letter from the mayor regarding appointments to the Tax Increment Finance Authority. Madam Clerk.
Please be advised that I have made the following appointments to the Tax Increment Finance Authority for terms expiring December 2028. Patrick Gutner, Patricia Anderson. Your concurrence on these appointments is greatly appreciated.
It's the pleasure of the council.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I make a motion that we approve the appointments to the Tax Increment Finance Authority read by the clerk.
Support.
Motion by Roush, supported by Aris Reese. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, it carries. Next up, we have a letter from the mayor regarding appointments to the Dangerous Building Hearing Board. Madam Clerk.
Okay. Please be advised that I have made the following appointment to the Dangerous Building Hearing Board for a term expiring December 2027. Ray Howard. Your concurrence on this appointment is greatly appreciated.
It's the pleasure of the council.
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman George.
I move that we agree with the mayor's, or we concur with the mayor's appointment to the Dangerous Building Board, Ray Howard, who is in the audience tonight. Thank you for your service.
Support.
A motion by George, supported by Aris Reese. Is there any discussion or objection? Seeing none, it carries. Next up is a letter from the mayor regarding appointment to the Compensation Commission. Madam Clerk.
Please be advised that I have made the following appointment to the Compensation Commission for a term expiring December 2031. Eric Croft. Your concurrence on this appointment is greatly appreciated.
Pleasure of the council.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
make a motion that we approve the appointment of Eric Croft to the Compensation Commission.
Support.
Motion by Roush, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, that'll carry. Next up, under Communications B, we have a letter from the mayor regarding appointments to the Cultural Arts and Special Events Commission. Madam Clerk.
Please be advised that I have made the following appointments to the Cultural Arts and Special Events for a term expiring December 2026. Marion Boland, Cindy Burley, Nancy Gratz, Anna Mitchell, Robin Craig, and Vanessa Belcher.
Your motion to receive and file.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I make a motion to receive and file.
Support.
Motion by Roush, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? Seeing none, it carries. Nothing under ordinances. Any new, old business from the council? Any new business from the council? Any unscheduled persons in the audience? If so, please approach the podium, state your name and address. All right, move on to claims and accounts for warrant 1511. Councilman Roush.
Move to approve warrant 1511 in the amount of $1,565,411.88.
Support.
It's motion by Roush, supported by Aris Reese. Any discussion or objection? See none, that'll carry. Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Aris Reese. Any discussion or objection?